It is a little-known fact that rail as a mode of transport in Australia had its beginnings in Tasmania way back in 1836. Convicts were used to push wagons over an isolated length of track near Port Arthur. Rail's efficiency was soon realised, and shortly after emerged a rail transport system around which the state's industrial and economic development was built. Not so long ago, our deficit-ridden railway was a burden on taxpayers, and although it hasn't been easy, we fought back and turned the deficit around. In real terms, we are well on the way to our goal of breaking even. The people of Tasrail pulled together to increase their productivity by a massive 242% and at the same time reflect a new customer confidence in us by raising our total freight task by 77%. This all means that there is now a real prospect of achieving break-even by 1995. The challenge is there and the rewards are in sight. Our current contract with the federal government expires at the end of the 1987-88 financial year, and we're confident of reaching agreement with it for continued funding of the declining deficit. Tasrail is the heavy transport backbone of Tasmania's industry, and most of what we move is bulk freight, forming the largest part of the state's export goods. Last financial year, we moved more than 1 million tonnes of logs for forest resources and Australian pulp and paper manufacturers. Logs are divided into two categories, hardwood logs and pine logs. Here we see hardwood logs being loaded onto rail wagons at Fingal near Tasmania's east coast. These large and heavy logs are carried on Tasrail's extensive fleet of special flat wagons. These hardwood logs are then railed in block trains to APPM's chip mill at Longreach near Tasmania's north coast. Wood chip is worth many export dollars to Tasmania and Australia each year. Pine logs are seen here being loaded at Containerized Junction, a busy rail point for much of Tasrail's operations. These pine logs are much smaller in diameter than hardwood logs and are obviously handled much easier. Site manager at Containerized Junction is Tex Tubb, and he keeps an adequate supply of logs rolling at the rail loading area where hefty grabs perform at the centre of an efficient operation. Pine logs are taken to Australian newsprint mill's Boyer plant, not far from Hobart. Here you can see logs being unloaded, again using a giant grab. They are being placed on an assembly line which saws them to size, debarks them, then pushes them down the line for chipping and pulping and processing to make paper. Tasmania plays a vital role in helping Australia to be more self-sufficient in paper production. Coal is a substantial revenue earner for Tasrail. It is mined by the Cornwall Coal Company near Fingal, then roaded down to the rail loading facility nearby. Overhead storage bins are fed by a large conveyor. The coal is then dropped down through the chutes into large 50-tonne capacity Tasrail hopper wagons. Some coal is loaded by front-end loader prior to the train engines positioning the hoppers beneath the bins. These 2,000-tonne coal trains run each weekday from the Fingal coal mine. Last year, Tasrail moved nearly 400,000 tonnes of Cornwall coal. Among the major users of Cornwall coal is the A&M mill at Boyer. The loaded hoppers are moved into position by gravity, ready for discharge. Here you can see it being unloaded at a specially designed bunker. The coal is dropped into a pit, then conveyed to the stockpile ready for burning in the company's boilers. Almost 300,000 tonnes of containerized freight was carried by Tasrail last year. Containers in the main are destined for or collected from the major shipping ports at Bell Bay, Burnie, Devonport and Hobart. Inward-bound containers consist mainly of general cargo, while outgoing ones are made up of Tasmania's exports like paper, fruit and wool. Sulphuric acid is manufactured at the Electrolytic Zinc Company at Risdon near Hobart. After loading into special Tasrail tank wagons, half is carried to the Teoxide pigment plant at Haybridge, while the remainder is dispatched to Burnie. Fertiliser is also railed from the Electrolytic Zinc Company complex at Risdon. From here it is taken to 6 bulk fertiliser depots, which are strategically placed across the north of the state. Some 57,500 tonnes of fertiliser was moved last year by Tasrail, and with the expanded network of depots, this volume is on the increase. We have dispensed with our multiple siding distribution arrangement, replacing it with a much more efficient method using bottom discharge wagons. With this system, fertiliser is now more easily available and is better protected from the weather. We use pressure discharge containers to shift cement from the Goliath works at Railton to Devonport for shipment to interstate ports and local cement terminals like this one at Hobart. Tasrail has built up substantial expertise in the transport and handling of bulk cement. The fine white colour and surface we take for granted in our paper is provided by the addition of white clay in the paper making process. Here at the Tongana clay mine, the liquidised clay is loaded into tank wagons for transport by rail to the paper making plant at Burnie. The driving force behind all this tonnage has been the introduction of 16 ZB class locomotives brought from Queensland, the first of which entered service last year. These and other vital components of our power-packed fleet are maintained by behind-the-scenes skilled and professional Tasrail individuals. Our Launceston workshop has prepared the new ZB engines for traffic, converted more than 35 wagons to air brake operation, and modified and repaired more than 1,700 wagons to date. We're modernising our workshops with the introduction of new machines like the wire feed welding machine, the hydraulic wagon frame straightener, and a diesel injector reconditioning machine. The recent tender call for work on the new one-spot wagon repair facility at East Tamar Junction near Launceston heralds the arrival of this very efficient facility in the future. The mainland one-spot facility dealt with some 700 wagon repairs in its first 2 months of operation. Steady progress with the mainline track rehabilitation, including steel sleepers, is cutting our speed restrictions, and with the recent commissioning of a mobile flashbutt welding machine costing more than $1 million, our program to continuously weld all mainline track will be hastened. We're keeping the pressure on costs with the 2-man train crewing now fully implemented. Changes to our operations, especially the marshalling of trains by destination, has been introduced. All this is aimed at getting closer to giving our customers a service they can rely on. Last year, more than 63% of all train arrivals were within 1 hour of schedule. A concentrated effort by all operations staff is keeping us to provide a reliable service to customers. In our never-ending quest for the best, we plan to implement train information and wagon monitoring systems. We are using online computers for stock, costs and revenue control. Ultimately, it is our customers who will judge the service provided by Tasrail. Total transit time, reliability and their experience of loss and damage are important factors. Tasrail is a commercial organisation winning business in a fiercely competitive environment characterised by successful road competition. The introduction of more locomotives and rolling stock, new signalling, better track and workshop facilities are all assisting Tasrail to succeed. We will win our customers' confidence through providing only the best quality of service now demanded of a modern transport system.